Yes, sir. What's going on? It's your boy, man, and welcome to another installment of Open Gym. And today, I have the privilege and honor of having someone very prominent within this city, man, because this is going to be a special interview that I bring to you guys, knowing that we have the Sixers season and NBA season in general coming up this week. Essentially, the Sixers played this week rather, I should say, on Thursday against my Milwaukee Bucks. Open up the season, yes, against Giannis and Dame and company, man. But who was better other than Philadelphia's own Contra Hawkins' own, the beat writer that's on the scene when you need to know everything you need to know about the Sixers from the Philadelphia Inquirer, man. I want to welcome you guys to the show, man. Keith Pompey, man. What's going on? How you doing, sir?
Hey man, what's popping? What's popping? I gotta say, I'm from Frankfurt because everybody in Frankfurt, if they hear, he talking about he from Concha Hawk, and they all gonna get mad. So like, nah, I'm from Frankfurt. I'm from
Oh, all right, my bad.
nah, it's all
My
good. It's all
research.
good. But that's what it says. And like, I'm pretty sure one of the bio joins. But
Yeah.
nah, I'm from Frankfurt. I
Oh,
can hear them now. Like, he acting
he
brand
forgetting
new.
about us.
He acting brand new. Nah, I'm from Frankfurt.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. But like I said, man, I appreciate you stepping in on this episode, man. This interview that we're gonna do, man. So we're gonna hop right into it, man. We know the NBA season has started. Starts actually Tuesday, which is tomorrow. The Sixers, their first game this weekend. This week is against the Milwaukee Bucks. Open up the season Thursday against the Milwaukee Bucks. So we're gonna hop right into it, man. I know you just was at practice down there at the complex today, essentially, I should say. What's the vibes? What's the players and the coaching, the organization, just the whole. What's the sense you get with everyone going into the season? Even though knowing everything that's going on around it, but what is your sense as far as how this team has come together through training camp and even through these first couple practices going into the first game of the season?
I'm gonna say they're managing, right? That's the best way. They're managing under the circumstances, and because let's face it, it's not like how it was when Ben Simmons was here, like the drama and stuff like that. But right now, you got that situation with James Harden not being here, and being a no show, so they have to deal with that. So what I mean is they're managing, meaning they're going on without him. The guys seem a little bit excited about what they have, in the locker room right now. Besides James, so they're just doing as best as they can. Now they're talking about toughness, they're talking about grit, they're talking about having versatility, shooters, the whole nine. But again, it's early, and they still had that elephant in the room with James Harden not being there.
Um, I've heard different things. To those lines that you're speaking of, as far as how they want to play, how they want to present themselves this year, going into the season with everything that going on around them. And before we dive too much into that, knowing that we have a new team, knowing that we have new players and things of that nature coming into this season, like the Pep Bev and Kelly Oubre and things of that nature, we have a couple uh, younger players who've been here for a couple years now. And specifically, I want to talk about Paul Reed and Jaden Springer, essentially like that. Obviously, looking to have more increased roles, more so leaning to Paul Reed, essentially like that. But even when it comes to Jaden Springer, what's your sense around them two? How they're going to be utilized, if they're going to be utilized at all? Where do they fit in the rotations? Can you speak on those two players that essentially going to get a shot at this year, essentially to show their worth with the Sixers team?
I think that for Paul Reed, this is a good situation. Meaning, in the past, he didn't know if he was going to play, or when he played, he didn't know how long he was going to stay out there. Like, it was one of those things where, oh, am I doing what Doc wants me to do? Am I going to come out? Right now you look at it, and he's been the best big that they had outside of Joel Embiid, right? So,
Absolutely.
and he's also been, the second one off. I mean, he's been starting the games Joel hasn't played, and then he came off the bench in the game that Joel did play, the first big. So that looks to me that he's going to be the backup. So now, if you're him, you're excited because you get an opportunity now. You know you're going to play for the
Absolutely.
first time. He knows he's going to play. Also, he's also going to play alongside Joel, and that's going to free him up. Like if you saw the one preseason game that Joel played in, it was like guys would double Joel, and my man was wide open, getting dunks, doing whatever he could. So I
Absolutely.
think we're going to see a lot from Paul. Jaden Springer, to me, has been the second best guy off the bench this entire preseason.
Okay. Okay.
The first one I would say is Kelly Oubre, right? I'm gonna
Oh,
have to give Kelly Oubre credit. But outside of that, it's been Jaden Springer. He's been providing D, knocking down threes. The dude has been balling. So it's one of those things like heading into the season, heading into the preseason, he wasn't in the rotation. Like he just was so far down, but he elevated his play to be one of the guys that's definitely going to be in the rotation. He's been balling.
so you pretty much you're pretty, I guess, certain that you should see a lot of Jaden Springer this year, essentially when the season starts.
At least in the start. I think what's going to happen is I think you know how it is. You got to continue to play that way,
Absolutely.
and do things. But right now, like yeah, you expect him to play. I mean, they want somebody that can defend. They want somebody who can knock down threes, and that's what he does. Right? That's what he does. He defends, and he's been knocking down threes lately. So yeah, I can see him getting some burn, getting
I
some
mean,
burn.
the defense thing definitely that's something I definitely can see. I mean, me and my friends we talk and we play around a lot because he look like a little running back out there. How like short and stocky he is, but the athleticism jumps off the screen essentially. I mean, you've seen it even in the preseason game against the Boston Celtics. I mean, we know it's preseason; everyone isn't going full tilt, but the effort that he showed on that play blocking Jason Tatum essentially like that let you know that he does have some some resources and things of nature that they can use on the floor. Essentially, how long he'll play. I agree with you. That remains to be seen as far as how long or how much he plays. Rather, I should say throughout the season, and it is going to be interesting to see down the stretch uh, if he can carve out a space within that lineup. Because as you know, when we get closer to playoff time, lineup strength and everything like that. So definitely, that's something that I look forward to. It definitely something I had to add. So we all know the fan favorite Paul Reed. Everyone is looking forward to him this year, so they've been clamoring for Paul Reed for the last 3 years essentially like that since he's been here, and then Doc just never really gave the man a shot. And you spoke on it a bit, and he even spoke on it how like he wasn't afraid to shoot, now essentially compared to when he was here with Doc and everything. So definitely, I'm looking forward to these young cats this year, man. But we're gonna keep on moving forward. We're gonna get into the nitty gritty of what we here for, when everybody is here for when it comes to this Sixers team, man. Uh, and I want to start off because you just recently did an article for the Inquirer entitled, let me get it right here, Daryl Morey career-defining season as James Harden saga looms. So reading upon it, it was some good information and tidbits in there that I got from it. But I'm gonna give you a chance here to just basically, because at times people can read titles and not really read what's going on in there and get the message of it. So it's a time to really just what sparked this article and where it came from, and then also explain like where you're going with when it came to this article essentially.
I mean, basically, let's keep it real. Like right now, Doc Rivers was fired. I mean, Doc Rivers was hired a month before Daryl Morey in 2020,
Absolutely.
and it was what they needed them to get out of the second round. The Sixers were in like a little bit of a rut, and Doc gets fired because what they couldn't get out of the second.
Second
Daryl
round.
we're at second round. So basically, 3 years later, I wanted to think about, what's the best grade to give Daryl Morey as the Sixers president of basketball operation. And, it's easy to destroy him, but then
Mm-hmm.
you also got
Mm-hmm.
to say it's incomplete. His grade is incomplete because no matter what, like he did some good things and he did some bad things, right?
Right.
But at the same time, they have yet to get out of the second round. So that's the one thing. And then this whole thing is going to be this James Harden situation. Like they are going to be defined, or Daryl's tenure is if he can get him out the second and what he gets back in return for Harden. If he can't get anything back for Harden, he you know, it could be rough. It could be rough for Daryl Morey. So basically, I just wanted to talk about all that in the article.
Well, you speak on that because I'll say this two things rather I should say or ask rather as far as Daryl Morey, as far as his legacy, God forbid, but let's just say the Sixers playoffs second round and it's the same situation as has been in the last couple years. Do you see this as defining as Daryl being pushed out or leaving or whatever way
It
you
could
want to
be.
push it? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think that's in play. Yeah, because like when you think about it, the whole thing with the whole bringing Nick Nurse in is because Doc Rivers was the fall guy. I mean, let's be
Mm-hmm.
real. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like when stuff happens, you got to blame somebody, right? Blame somebody,
Somebody
and,
did.
and yeah, and do you blame Joel Embiid? Do you blame James Harden? They could have got some blame for that, but no, Doc was the one that was pushed out. So now what's going to happen is it's like, okay, Daryl, you got your own guy in, but it's the same results. So yeah, yeah, Daryl, this could be it for Daryl if they don't get out of the second round. Like, yeah, I mean that's in play. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I would say that too. Um, but I guess going back to what you were stating when it came to the Doc Rivers situation, as far as like they had to blame someone, because at the end of the day, they the players are probably going to be the last of people to be blamed, the last people to be pushed out or traded, anything like that. So someone had to go. But me personally, going into this season, I definitely like Daryl Morey. Yes, there were some moves that were made. He definitely made us a more competitive team compared to the teams of past. Uh, but as he done what he could essentially like that. But at the same token, it shouldn't be the same result. You was brung in here to make these corrections, to make this team more complete, to bring in the coachings that we need, whatever we need to be able to push this team over the top. That's what you was brung in here for. Like you said, they went and hired you after already having a coach. They went and hired you already having a GM in place, and they still brung you in and gave you the keys to this franchise. So definitely, I do agree with you. Even though he hasn't been here extremely long, but I do believe he's been here long enough to be able to make some significant progress. And we talking about the second round. We like at this point, people are just trying to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, essentially right now. Let alone the championship, and we just can't even get out the second round. And that brings me to that point because obviously, the James Harden situation is looming. Before we get to James Harden, you got a player like Tobias Harris that's on the team right now, and I guess this is a 3-part question, and it's a lot of conversation that we know over the past couple of years. Tobias has been in multiple trade scenarios and rumors and just things that's been flown out there these past couple of years. Obviously, hence the comment, the crumble cookie comment when he was at the event that year, last year rather. But so, do you see Tobias as someone that they truly look at as an asset to be here beyond this year, or is it a possibility that he can also be that he possibly can be traded? And if not, can you see the Sixers actually, potentially re-signing him? Obviously, probably not for the same money, but could you see them going back and re-signing him?
I think everything's on the table. I do think that they really like him. I mean, Nick Nurse, I spoke to him about him a couple of days ago, and he
Okay.
raved over him. Like he really raved over him. Tobias is Nick Nurse's type of guy. He likes these long, athletic forwards who can, who can do a lot of different things, and that's Tobias right then and there. But also I do think that what I mean by everything's on the table is like I think everyone essentially is just getting a good hard look at this season, and they'll see if they can bring him back. Right. I think that Tobias, like if Tobias balls out and he is the type of guy that Nick Nurse likes, yeah, I could. Yeah, I definitely see them trying to bring Tobias back. Now, if Tobias struggles or something like that, who knows? Maybe at the trade deadline, they may say, "Look, maybe it's been great, this and
Right,
that."
right.
But you got to understand, like they had several opportunities to trade Tobias this summer, and he was untouchable. They did not want to get rid of him. That they liked Tobias. They just feel like he was in a different situation. That's that, what I mean? Meaning he made a lot of money. Some people may be critical of the money, but he never really got an opportunity because he was the third or fourth guy. Now you can argue if he deserved it or not, but the one thing is we all know that he wasn't high in the pecking order in regards to showing if he deserved it or not.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I think that's what it comes down to, boils down to, is the money. We all know if as far as a player, I wouldn't go as far as say Tobias isn't an asset. He isn't a good player. He isn't serviceable for a team or can't be on even a championship winning team essentially like that. I think, and we all know how this city gets. Even when it came down to like someone like Andre Iguodala, when you pay a certain player a certain amount of money, and granted, I don't blame Tobias. Listen, if someone offered me $100 million, ain't you taking it too? I don't care if it's up to par or not. But essentially, that's what it boils down to. Whereas like people more so worked up on the contract. I do see his contribution, but I also see the I guess the lack thereof as far as what you need from that player on a consistent basis. But I mean I would make the argument that the past two playoffs essentially postseasons he's been probably the most consistent. Yeah, he hasn't wowed you. Yeah, he hasn't taken over a game for 30 points, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. But as far as him being in his role, being consistent in what he do, yes, even missing some shots and things of that nature, I do still do believe he's a serviceable player. Now, if you're talking about the right move was to come around, I agree with you, and I do put the anything that can happen title on the table because yes, if the right situation was to come around, I can't see Daryl Morey not making the move that needs to be made if it helps his team dramatically. But again, what type of move is that if you're talking about removing 16 to 20 point player a night, rebound, defense, stuff like that. But I guess I guess moving on when it comes to that, I'm just ask you straightforward as far as James Harden. Will he be a Sixer this year?
I mean, I doubt it. I mean, I doubt it. I mean, if he's a Sixer, I mean, does that mean does he play? You know what I mean?
Right,
So
right.
you know what I mean? Like I think a team has to get desperate before this move happens. And what I mean by a team, I'm talking about the Sixers. I'm talking about the uh, the LA Clippers. That seems like the team that they're going to go to. And then there could be some other teams that are going to come up like Miami, maybe Chicago, like maybe Miami, maybe Chicago. If Miami wants to go on a run and they realize, hey, you know what, we can utilize James. But I don't see James. I mean, right now playing with the Sixers. I mean, when you face it, when you look at it, James isn't even in the city. I mean, the Sixers have a game on Thursday. It's Monday right now. James isn't here. So that's a sign right there that he does not intend to play for him this year.
I know I've even had discussions where it's like, he's here now. Maybe if he's around the guys enough, when you with your friends, you start feeling a little better. You play a couple games, you get happy. You might, rethink things. But it does look like from here on out, he's completely done with the team. Will he be traded? Yes, and I do believe he traded too. I mean, where does that come in at? What sense do you get as far as like, is this something that they're really willing to take? Let's say the Ben Simmons route as far as all the way to the trade deadline, or is this something that they actually, look at as something being done sooner than later, essentially like the way James Harden
I
has.
mean, they say that they're willing to go all out. Like they think that he gives them their best opportunity to win right now. So they say that. but I also think that is also like, you want to get the most that you can for him. So you are going to at least give off the impression that you're willing to wait because you want somebody to give you something great that you can have. But yeah, I mean, I feel like if they get a great deal, they get what they want, they will move him, right? But if not, that's the longer we'll see him. I mean, now if he was here and he was being extremely disruptive and he was
Right,
doing stuff
right,
like that,
right.
I have to say like, nah, they got to get him out the door. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think right now everything is going to be. I mean, everything looks like it could be a long wait.
So you saying as far as him being is a perfect segue. You saying he could be here being disruptive and everything like that. So with James Harden being away right now, uh, where do you see I guess the team going as far as angle, as far as like, do they keep him away? We're gonna work on your deal. Just just stay where you at, do what you gotta do, and then obviously they have the option to sit there and find him. We know last year with the not last year, the year before with the Ben Simmons, obviously they started finding him when he was missing practicing in training camp days and stuff like that. So is that what is that? Do you get a sense of where they at when it comes to this particular situation, knowing that is more of a high profile player, knowing the old relationship that Daryl Morey and James Harden has had previously? Is that something they just keep away? Will work on your trade, or would they do something like find him as far as
I mean, they could. Yeah, they. I mean, they could. It's up to the team. But if it was me, I would just try to keep him away. Like I'll be honest with you. Like I like stay away if you want to. Um, and I know that doesn't really like fans will get upset, whatever. But I was just stay away if you want to because my thing is you don't want somebody in here destroying the team culture. You just don't. So as long as he's away and then behind closed doors or behind the scenes, you could try to work out a deal. I feel like that's the best way, the best thing for them to do. I do.
Well, that leads me to my next question. With there's so much uncertainty with James Harden, is he gonna be here? Is he not gonna be here? Would he show up? Would he not show up? Is he gonna play? Who he like? Who he don't like? Will he get his money? Plan A and Plan B. Forget Nurse. I know this has to be something he thinks about every day because around this time you try to start putting different lineups together and things in the nature to get ready for the season. What's Do you have a sense or do you have an inkling? Have you talked to Nurse or any of their players as far as Plan A and Plan B with James or without James going into this NBA season?
Yeah, here's the deal. So what Nick Nurse did is he had two plans. He had like it seemed like you talked to him, but the way you dropped him out. Yeah, he has a plan A and he has a plan B. So plan A is how he goes with Nurse. Plan B is how he goes with James. Plan B is what happens if James isn't here, right? That you know so right now that's with Maxi and all that. He's gonna have Maxi as the primary ball handler, but actually a lot of people handle the rock.
Right.
So the things that they've been working on, I mean, they've been doing a lot of things with James not playing. Like for instance, James didn't play in any of the preseason games. So the stuff that you saw out there that last game and some of the other ones is what we're going to see in the preseason,
Pretty
right?
much the Plan B, right?
Yeah, well, I'll be honest with you. I think I don't know. That might have been Plan A. I mean, just
Okay.
because James
Okay.
hasn't been practicing, you
Okay.
know what I mean? Like he hasn't been scrimmaging and stuff like that.
Absolutely. I agree. I mean, it's definitely a tall task in hand for him, essentially going into this season. I mean, listen, it's a lot on their plate and a lot that they have to do. So as far as the James Harden, I know the last thing we heard was the Terrence Mann and two first rounders, things of that nature. I mean, any updates, any insight on that trade with the Clippers as far as any traction? Have they continued to talk? Have they, are talks permanently done? Would they ever revisit it? Just anything when it comes to that. And shoot, is that enough for James Harden? Is that something that he's just going to take and just add to the team and keep moving for the future, or is that something because I did see some things where he said he would take their, not he said it, but it's reported that he would take those assets like a Terran Man and the two first rounders and possibly move that for maybe another piece later. Like, where's your
I mean, that's
assessment
the
on that?
latest. That right there, that stuff you're talking about is the latest. I
Okay,
mean, yeah, it seems like those are the two teams, but the thing is, they want Terrence Mann. The Clippers don't want to give up
give him.
Terrence Mann at all, and it makes a lot of sense because why would you give up what you unwilling to give up when you're the only team battling
Your
for him?
play. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, I mean, shoot, listen, the Sixers gonna have to figure something out because essentially, I going back to what we talked about earlier, going into the season with that still looming over the team's head is probably not the best way to go about it. Essentially, if you're really trying to sit there and contend. And speaking about contending, I know in your article as well, you stated how Daryl Morey believes that this Sixer team not necessarily complete, but definitely should be able to contend. And he believes in the team essentially. Just to paraphrase and just put it all together essentially like that moving forward, even with other moves that happen in the NBA as we've seen, like the Bucks, like the Celtics, adding Drew Holiday to the Celtics, Porzingis to the Celtics, obviously Dame to the Bucks. Do you get a sense that they truly believe that this team is able to compete, or is more so just a thing of saying yes we compete, but they also know that no we do have to do something to be
Nah,
able
they
to keep
can't
up with this
compete,
team?
man. I'm sorry for cutting you off. I mean,
Yeah,
they
yeah, you
pretty
good.
good, but they're not on that level. I mean, they're gonna be good, but they like what's the thing with compete? The NBA is crazy because you only got like 5 teams or maybe 3 teams that can win a championship, and they're not one of those 3 right now. They're just not. Like they don't have enough. They don't have enough to win a championship. So that's where we are right now. They just don't have enough.
It's sad to say, but I hate to agree with a lot of different things. I wish I had like other answers because I feel like we all in this space in this center of like limbo essentially because at the end of the day it all depends on if James is here or if he's not here because with this team currently constructed I can't see a real path of them, yes, like you said, win some games, make the playoffs, and B should be enough or good enough to be able to do that aspect of it. But to actually compete with the likes of like the Bucks and the Celtics, and depending on how you're catching any of these other teams, like a Heat or something like that, it's going to be definitely a tricky task to get past. And then speaking on that, I'm gonna hit you with this last question, and we can finish on up here, man, because I know your time was well spent, and you're a very important man and busy man, so I don't want to keep you forever. But just something looking at the team presently constructed. I know we talked about young guys like Paul Reed, Jada Springer, some of the new cats like Kelly Oubre. Being down there through training camp, going into these practices, these preseason games, and then obviously with game one being this Thursday against the Milwaukee Bucks. This season, who is your player you're looking at that you feel like is going to have that breakout year or that we as fans or the NBA in general should look out for as far as them making their mark on the NBA and on the NBA scene?
Now, are you talking about for the Sixers?
Yes, for the Sixers. Yep.
I gotta say, I have to say, what's his name? George Jaden Springer. You
Okay,
know what I
Jay
mean?
Springer. Okay.
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
and how come? Like, is it the what you spoke about as far as the defense, the athleticism? Like what about it? What do you see in him that you feel like Jada Springer? I feel like people are going to really realize who he is now within the team.
Um, I don't know. I just think like, and when I mean breakout, I think that he's going. I'm not saying he's going to be the man. Like,
Right.
I mean, like
Absolutely.
people
Absolutely.
might think he's going to be a quality player. I mean, what it is he's a gritty, grimy dude, right? You know what I mean? Like he brings it. Like, um, he's helpful. He could play defense. He does like a lot of the things we talked about before. But I think that when you think of from where he came, I mean, he never played. He
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
played. You know what I mean? He was
Yeah.
like a guy. Doc Rivers would say, "Oh, he can play, he can defend," but we never saw it. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep.
So we never saw it. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And I guess it's good to have a guy like a Pat Bev on the team now who he sort of kind of gives me he gives me some similarities with, and obviously the athleticism part is more he's leaps and bounds past Pet Bev when it comes to that. But as far as like you said, the short, stocky, strong, defend multiple positions. It looked like it's even in the preseason game. I did not necessarily every position, but as far as he was on the 1 through 3, I've seen that for sure. So definitely, I guess it's good to have a guy like that going to season. I guess one more thing for y'all because I just thought about it. Uh, it was a thing. Obviously, all the additions: Pat Bev, Kelly Oubre. The young guys coming up. It was one addition this season that came, and that was the Danny Green signing. A lot of mixed reactions when it came to that. We all know he's older, coming off an injury. What's your take on the Danny Green signing? Is it someone he's really going that the team is really going to utilize during the season, maybe even playoffs, or is it someone just more so just to have that mixture of vets and young cats within the locker room, just to stabilize that locker room, and he just be another vet like a PJ Tucker and Pat Bev that can just really
Nah,
just
I think he'll play. I think he'll play. Here, the thing we got to understand with, like, you can't. I mean, the Sixers had to go out there what they couldn't afford, and Danny
absolutely.
Green was one of the guys that they can afford. I mean, Danny Green is the type of guy when he's hot, he's hot. He's a good leader in the locker room, like you said, but he's also someone who knows Nick Nurse's system. I mean, think about that. Like, he's been with Nick Nurse and won a championship with him.
Yep, yep.
So he can, he has a lot of stuff that a lot of people don't. So he can help out. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, man, Keith, I appreciate you, man, as always, for doing this, trying to just give these fans, these people out here, fans of the team, just a little insight of what's going on, what you've been seeing, what you've been hearing down there. Hopefully, as the year go on, we can get you to come back, from time to time, and just let us know what's going on down there at the complex and at the center, essentially like that. But I want everyone to make sure y'all follow Keith on all his social media. You can actually give him your at names and everything right now. I don't have him with me in front of you. Where you at on Twitter? Where you at on Instagram and all that, Keith?
Yeah, I'm at Pompey on Sixers. I'm at Pompey on Sixers on Twitter and on Instagram.
So y'all hear that, and also look at his written work as well, digitally and hard copy at the Inquirer as well. This is the beat writer you need to follow. He gives you all the insights and everything you need to know about Sixers and what's going on. Make sure you check out anything that he got coming on. And once again, this is Open Gym Podcast. This is the interview that I had with Keith Pompey of the Inquirer, man. Make sure y'all follow. Make sure y'all share. Make sure y'all comment. Y'all know what to do. Hit the notification button, man. It's your boy AB, and we are out of here. Yes, sir.